the Overlap Network's new show, Not Just Football, brought to you by Sky Bet.
I got it straight away. I just looked around, it was electrifying to be in that stadium. I loved every second of it. I thought, I get this.
Every single game I'm watching, I know it's over, but it's like a knife.
We're not just going to break down football. I mean, other shows do that really, don't they? We are going to discuss how the game has an impact on our lives away from the pitch.
It's a second chance. You died, and you have a second chance and a second life.
And also, we've got family connections to the game.
The Dalglish, the McQueen, we were brought in to work in the industry because of their dads.
Yeah.
And it was the kind of nepotism thing, but I was like, well, I do know because of my dad.
We're all, women of a certain age, and yet we're all still, to an extent, defined by our relationship to some of the men in our lives.
And he's got the New England kit. He doesn't want to wear it. And Frank's like, do you know what I did?
Yeah. Hello, I'm Kelly Cates. I'm joined by Lampard and Hayley McQueen.
We are being joined by a Premier League legend.
You're the man from Because I'm Worth It. This is you.
You were up there in Newcastle having the time of your life, weren't you?
Don't exaggerate.
Brought to you by Sky Bet. So, 30 years since you signed for Newcastle, 25 years since you left Tottenham.
Yeah, it has been.
But the game is so different now, isn't it? I mean, the fundamentals of it on the pitch are the same, but everything around it feels very different.
Yeah, put it this way, when I arrived at Newcastle and I saw the training ground, it was like signing in an amateur club, very low profile, having breakfast in the morning, sharing a dressing room with students from the university because the training ground was Durham. So you jumping into a world then today when you look at the facilities, the training grounds, the stadiums, everything is like 7-star hotels. But you need to adapt yourself to this new chapter of football. But the thing is, for me, is the mentality. Mentality has changed so much. All through those years, you can see in the past 25, 30 years, the passion and the love of the shirt, the meaning of it when I arrived at Newcastle. Because it was like, when you said at Newcastle, the first thing I was thinking is, am I in England? The way they were talking in Geordie, the why man, ta very much pet.
Well, the good thing is you're now
all those
fluent.
things.
Yeah.
No, but that was like for me like a discovery, because when I signed from Paris at Newcastle, I thought, okay, I'm signing in the Premier League in England. It's going to be like this and that. But I discovered baked beans on toast, breakfast. I mean, things that we never even think about when I was in Paris. We eating croissant, pain au chocolat, a nice glass of wine, and talking about football these days. I don't think we realized how good it was in that time. Less money, more passion, more appreciation about playing for someone who really wants you, like Sir John Hall when he signed me. I mean, what a man, a Geordie guy, a successful businessman, by the club. He's the chairman, and because this is his passion. Now these days, people are buying clubs because it's a toy. Oh, let's go into football because they don't care about really the money or the results. It's just we are there in football when we are. I don't know if they are enjoying themselves.
It's interesting when you talk about those connections, isn't it? Because it just feels very different the way that the fans and the players connect now. And I don't know if. I think the players miss out. As much as fans say we can't connect with the players anymore, I think maybe players don't enjoy it as much as they used to. What do you think?
Because I think the people within clubs have put barriers, and to separate people. You look at players when they go on press conference, they say, "Oh, this question, no, this question, no." so they are in a position, the players, that they can't do whatever they want.
Do you think they're too protected now that it's
But the game of football is too protected. The football itself belongs to the fans, first of all. If you forget that, you forget the principles. You play obviously for your club, for the one who's paying your wages, but mainly you play for the fans because they are buying season tickets every year. For some of them, they don't earn so much money, so you need to have this appreciation about life. And I don't want to be too pessimistic about the future, but it seems to me that we need to do something right now. The way it goes, these days they are talking about it has too much games. They have the World Championship of Clubs at the end of the season on top of the new formula in the Champions League. I mean, it's so many games, and the players, obviously they have to play the games. They are employees, and we need to find the balance between all that.
I think as well, you're just talking about that kind of old school passion of the game, and I know certainly when Frank was starting out at West Ham, I mean, and below that, and he was at Swansea and everything else, you were happy to clean the boots of the other players, as when you were at that sort of apprentice level.
They don't do that anymore?
That sort of thing doesn't happen anymore.
Why?
And I think an awful lot of that it's like me making the tea when I started out as a runner in television. It's a similar sort of thing where I'm happy to do those kind of crappy jobs, the dirty jobs. I'm willing to get your hands dirty because I just want to be involved. I'll do anything to be the best I can be. And I think just when there's a lot of money involved, which we know football, that's all it is now. And I think also social media has played a big part in that. I'm guessing, David, from that player kind of crowd perspective, the connection between them has changed because the players now have an instant voice, a personal instant voice. They can say what they want to say, whereas before that didn't exist. There was a mystique about players, I think.
If I can defend them, players nowadays, because of social network, it's very difficult for us to keep a privacy. At our time, we could go and play a game at 3 o'clock on a Saturday, and then at night going to restaurant, clubbing, and stuff. Well, okay, we have paparazzi and we have all that kind of stuff, but it was like more affordable for us to get out after and enjoy ourselves. The players these days, they can't do anything because you take a picture, you put it on Instagram, and it goes straight to the public, and public will judge you straight away. They can argue that it's more difficult to have a privacy these days than in our time. Yeah. We could do whatever we want.
And I guess you
within reason.
Roughly.
As much as I'm sure, if you could rewind and the world was a different place and the Premier League was the monster that it was now and you were entering into it, you probably, I'm guessing, wouldn't have as much fun because you were up there in Newcastle having the time of your life, weren't you? You wouldn't be able to do that now.
Well, don't exaggerate. I had a great time in Paris 3 years before that, previous to my signing. We won the league in France, we won 2 French Cups, we played 3 semi-finals of different cups. So it was like a really good time. For me, at that time, I should have signed for Barcelona, and I met Johan Cruyff during the summer, and he said, well, I need, because it was no Bosman rules. At the time, he went 6 months after. It was in November. My discussion was in July. And he said, you are my priority at Barcelona. And I said, okay. But he said to me, at the time I had 6 foreigners. I need to get rid of Popescu, Hadji, and Stoichkov to put your name on the list for Caspar and Nunez, who was the chairman at the time. And I said, okay, I'll wait for that. So I waited, and we arrived at 14th of July. It was the Independence Day in France. And he called me and he said, well, they couldn't find any club paying their wages. So it's going to be for for next time. So I was in Amsterdam. I received a phone call from Terry McDermott, and he said, "Would you sign for us?" And I said, "Well, okay." An hour later, I have a phone call. I was in my room at the Raffles in Amsterdam, and a phone call from David Dean. And he said, "David, did you sign for Newcastle?" I said, "Why?" He said, "Because we want to offer you a contract." And I said, I gave my word. I didn't sign anything, but I gave my word to Terry Mack and Kevin Keegan. So I said, okay, it's done. So things are going very quickly, but I think what is important for me right now, after all those years, we're talking about 30 years ago, is the man you still, not the players, not the player you are or you've been, is the man you are. And I think the best compliment I can receive these days is, we like you as a man. The players is, well, you played 20 years career, but the rest of your time, you're still a man having your life. And if you are just, an asshole, I mean, it doesn't work. So I think it's very important for me to, after all those years, to meet people and say, "Oh, I like you, you're a good man." It's better than you are a good player.
David, how would you describe those
And
kind of
you know that we've
qualities?
been to Calais also
We have.
for a good cause, actually.
I have to say, David, I'm not sure. I was telling Kelly earlier, you didn't
We
hear
took
this.
the train.
We had a day. This is quite a few years ago now. It was
Not
when
a date. Not a date, a day.
It was when I was doing my water skiing for Sport Relief. And
Listen
I water
to this.
skied from, I still can't believe it actually, from England obviously to France, all 22, 24 miles of the channel. Anyway, I got to spend a lot of time with this lovely gentleman, a good man, just to go back to that, because yes, he was there to support the whole cause and everything that we had done. And we ended up, we were on a train then for ages,
Calais,
weren't we? Do you
on
remember?
the beach, it was like... Yeah, it wasn't.
He was my greeting party.
You were water skiing. You didn't do the water skiing.
No, it was too cold.
And dirty.
Honestly, that's a whole other conversation. I don't know how I did it. Anyway, it was a lovely treat to have you there when I landed on the shores. Yeah, it was. We go way back. So yes, I can vouch for you being a good man, is what I'm trying to say.
Brought to you by Sky Bet.
Just going back to the time at Newcastle, which I think was interesting, because I think that time and going into the time at Spurs, actually, football itself was changing, and there were those opportunities for sort of commercial growth as well. Obviously, David Beckham was part of it. You were very much part of that whole thing, but it was quite new for football. I mean, you look back to someone like George Best or whoever. There was the odd individual. But now players are brands of their own, and it feels like it started in those kind of mid to late 90s. What do you think?
In my time, I think I'm talking about in France, it wasn't really accepted. You're a football player, you play football. You don't do commercials, you don't do catwalking, you don't do that. Then I arrived in England, in the UK. Mentality is completely different. It's a big change. Because people realize that, as you said, you're a brand, and they can use you. Okay, you play football. If you're a good footballer, and they want to use you for modeling or do whatever. When I signed with Nino Cerotti, it was like brand new for a lot of things. I signed with L'Oréal. L'Oréal was also something very special because no man before have signed with L'Oréal to make shampoo and say because I'm worth it. I mean, saying just this line, it was reserved to ladies, no men. So I think it was like a privilege somehow because you realize that it makes you even more important in the life of people because even the people, I remember taking the plane and people who are not interested in football, they say, "Oh, you're the man from Because I'm Worth It. This is you." I remember a grandma in Heathrow saying that.
Thierry had the Nicole Papa. Thierry had the
That's
Nicole
right.
Papa.
Renault
That's the
Clio.
thing everybody says to him.
Renault Clio.
Oh, this is you. Here you
Look
are.
at
I've got
this.
to remember it so well.
It contains ceramide R, which strengthens the hair from within.
You can't beat a 2 in 1. Do you know what I mean?
It's easy. It's just amazing because, if you think about, I'm not talking about achieving things, but, when you're a football player, normally you just intend to play football. But doing the other things, and funny enough, this was just before the World Cup in France.
Here we go. This is Paul Gascoigne.
Oh, this is
Oh,
brilliant.
you like this one?
Yeah, there we go. Wow. Well, where the hell did he get that wig?
Well, if anyone's going to get
I
away
don't
with
know.
this,
Yeah.
it's him, isn't it?
He's a good man. I like him.
Brought to you by Sky Bet. How do you live your life now, though? What kind of fills you with joy now?
I'm working on different projects. I'm working on the broadcaster Canal Plus in France for football, Champions League.
And you enjoy that? That still kind of makes you feel, you're
I
still
enjoy
part
it.
of it.
Christine, honestly, I enjoy it, but every single game I'm watching, it's like I know it's over, but it's like a knife,
Yeah.
Because I don't know if Frank is thinking the same way, but you can't get away. It seems that we're born to be a football player. Yeah. And anything we can do after, nothing is related to. So you're watching games and you say, that was there. I want to be there. I want to be there. And I think it will never go away. You have this in you. So when you are 5, 6 years old and you think, well, I want to be a football player, it's not something just you don't saying that, and especially 30 years ago. These days, everyone wants to be a Mbappé.
Yeah, yeah.
But
Including
30
my
years
little
ago,
boy.
no phones, no social network, no internet. When you look at your dad and you say, "Dad, I want to be a football player," I say, "Go to school."
Yeah. Have something to fall back on.
It's true.
You've got a young daughter now as well, so she probably keeps you young as
Ever.
well, and you've got a new partner later in life, and you've been a father over the age of 50, and that does keep you young, doesn't it? And it gives you a different outtake on life of how you're going to live and live for them in a different way.
You realize how hard it is to be a father. Because when you're 24 and you have your kids and you are a football player, you're still yourself a kid. So you need to have your sleep. So you never wake up in the middle of the night to feed the baby, because the next day is training and the games and everything around football is really, really important. So everything is focused on you instead of the kids. And when you have a kid at 49, 50 years old, so it's just a wake-up call. It's a proper wake-up call. So when at 7 in the morning, she goes like, "Daddy, wake up." I say, "Okay, wake up. I'm starving. Okay, I'm gonna prepare breakfast and all day." And it's an enjoyment because.
So you're very hands-on, really, though, David. Do you like kind of just doing all of those sort of jobs, whether albeit it could be 3 a.m.s and they're sort of waking you up, or it's breakfast time, or school runs? Do you like all of the kind of hands-on side, or
You have to.
I don't know if "like" is the right word to
I
use,
get
but
that. I understand that. I was this morning rushing trying to get them both to school at separate places, and I had to go to a Harvest Festival assembly, and you're like, the
Really?
traffic. Yeah, but that's the stuff. That's the stuff that comes with just having children. But
you
get
have
so much
you
from
have
them.
ladies the hardest job in the world.
Yes, that's true.
And the most and the most beautiful one, and you should be rewarded for that.
When the heart stops, every
Minutes.
matters.
Learn CPR for free.
In 15 minutes. Search Reviver.
Thankfully, you are here because, as we all know, you went through a truly horrific, life-changing moment that we were all shocked to hear about many years ago with your cardiac arrest. Which has that changed your outlook on life?
This kind of experience of sudden death is very tricky because you don't feel anything. You don't have any warnings or any signal. You have pain somewhere? No, you just you go to the electric switchboard, and the main one, you switch it off, and you fall down, and you're dead.
Because you've been playing a match, obviously,
Yeah.
that it was a charity match.
Yeah.
You scored a goal, in fact, hadn't you?
Yeah, it was brilliant.
Exactly. So when you say life
it was a great game.
It was a great game. Life was incredibly
Yeah.
normal, and like you say, it's just that switch moment where everything changes, and it changed for 8 minutes, wasn't it?
It happened. Everyone was. They thought I was joking. I was kidding, scoring and falling and stay on the. But when it turned me over, I mean, they saw my face and I was, purple and swallow my tongue. They called the ambulance and the firefighters, and they said, what should we do? And they said, well, just concentrate on the performing a CPR. The rest is irrelevant. Forget about the tongue, forget about everything. We need to irrigate the brain. And then they did that for 8-10 minutes. So it's a long time for someone who is performing a CPR. And after 8-10 minutes, some people arrived. And she shocked me 3 times with a defibrillator, and nothing happened. And she turned over to my friends, and they said, well, your friend is dead. And my friend said, no, you carry on. David, it's impossible, look at him. And then she shocked me a 4th time and a 5th time, and a 5th time she said, well, I have a heartbeat. So the helicopter took me to the clinic in Monaco, because I go to Monaco, the clinic.
Well, where else would you go? Where else would you go?
And then they put something in my blood to make me sleep for a few hours. And apparently half an hour later, just half an hour, I was sitting on the side of the bed, telling anyone, what am I doing here? I don't remember that at all. Anything, it's just out of my mind. And then they operate me at 4 bypass on my chest, and a huge injury, massive one, and it's a miracle. The 4 nurses, when I left the hospital, because I had the all clear from the hospital, saying, well, go, and I was going to work for M6 for the European Championship, presenting. So I get up from the hospital, the 4 bypass, and went straight on TV, live show from the 16th of June to the 14th of July, the final we did against Portugal. France lost 1-0. And when I left the hospital, well, first of all, the surgeon came and he said, just David, just to tell you that it's a miracle. You need to realize that. You have been very lucky, because of your strength and everything, but there's something else. I work on your pipes, on your coronaries and arteries, everything is fine, but you have something inside that is different. And for me, I can't explain that. But the 4 nurses, when I left, they came to me and they were crying. And I looked at her and I said, you cry because I leave you? and they said, no, we need to tell you something. I said, okay, I'm listening. They said, well, when we were next to the table, while you being, the surgeon was operating you, we feel like a force pushing us away from the table. So I felt this, And I looked at the other one and I said, do you feel that? And he said, yes. It's like they were pushing off the table by something, but no hands, nothing, and they were crying because there was the first experience of that. Some of them have been there for 10, 15 years, and it's everyday operation like that. And they said, we never encountered such things. And they said, well, we can't explain that, but it was really special because it was like we've been just forced to not be there, go away. So can you explain that? Mm-hmm. Why me and some others with the same issues have been,
Do you know what's interesting as well is that you can tell this story and this happened to you, but you weren't conscious for most of it. So does it feel like something that happened to you when you're talking about what happened when you were unconscious, when you're hearing about these attempts to save your life? Can you marry those two things up?
No, you can't, because you know that from the moment you were on the floor and you died, because I was dead, and you wake up at the hospital and you open your eyes and you see the surgeon and he said, hello, obviously in French, bonjour, bonjour David, tu sais où on est? Et là, je regarde, you know where we are? And I looked around and I said, wow, it looks like an hospital. He said, do you know what happened to you? And I said, not at all. He said, do you remember a game, football? I said, no. But it was like very blur, And I said, oh, yeah, I played this game, but nothing more than that. And he said, well, just look at your chest. So I saw tubes and everything, and I said, oh, I said, this is it's a big thing. He said, yeah, quite a big thing. So, but for him, his main concern was my brain. Mm-hmm. But after that, I was thinking, well, while unconscious, as you said, you are reaching a crossroad, being dead or alive. Which road do you take? Because it's not up to you. And the whole thing from the beginning is like a very nice story. The day of this issue happened, it was in the morning, the firefighters, they were encountering some problems in the building next door. And the lady who shocked me, she looked down and she saw this football pitch and he said, oh, this football pitch is not on our map. We need to put this football pitch on the map. So when the phone call reached them in the afternoon, say there's some problem, they said, oh, this is the pitch we saw this morning. So instead of doing 20 minutes drive, they came in 8 minutes. Wow. And when you know that time matters in such problems, so the whole thing, and then it was an helicopter nearby, came, took me to Monaco, and some people work it out. One of the best surgeons in heart surgery had a seminar in Moscow. So some people very influenced in Monaco said, you should stay and you're going to operate David. So he didn't go to Moscow, he stayed at the hospital to operate me. So the whole thing, the whole process was made for me to be sitting with you ladies today.
When something like this happens, this life-changing experience, how do you approach life in this new chapter? Do you make changes? Like I say, you were healthy, I'm sure you eat well, you're fit. But what sort of things did you shift to try and make a better version, healthier version of yourself?
Well.
Red wine? Is that still okay or not?
I mean, this is very good because when I had encountered this problem in May 2016, I finished the European Championship. I was on vacation in my hometown, Saint-Tropez, on my own, single. and I said to myself, there's a few options. One,
Do we want to hear these options?
Listen, I think it was a crazy summer because you realize you could have been dead, but you're still alive. And everyone is coming and say, oh.
And you're going, yes, it's terrible. Do you know I nearly died? In fact, do you know I did die?
You know what I mean? So you go to Camp Viewer and you arrive and you have all your friends there. You have Brian Johnson from Bon Jovi. He comes, oh, let's have a party. Yes, yeah, what are we going to eat? Club 55, Nikki Beach. I say, yeah, why not? So you realize at 5 o'clock in the morning, the sun is rising. And you say, oh, life is wonderful.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm going to really enjoy it.
Yeah.
So
when you were given the chance to discover
did you change anything? So that was the first few weeks. Then you end up the summer saying to yourself, well, would I be able to live my life like that? Mm-hmm. Obviously not, because I haven't been brought up this way. And I called the person I met on the day I died. I was searching for her because I didn't have my phone. My agent took my phone for 2 weeks, so I couldn't get any messages and everything. And I had my phone, and on my phone it was like, oh, how are you? I haven't heard from you. Are you okay? And I said, well, I remember replying something like, I went for a journey and to a place that I'd never been before. So I guess it was charming.
Yeah.
Poetic.
It worked. Did you get a little tear in your eye?
Okay, can I join you for your journey? And that was 8.5 years ago.
Wow.
And since then, we have every night when I go and I look at her, and I say, well, if that day on the crossroad I would have choose to die, this little princess, will have never been able to express herself like she do.
That day
right
in
now,
26, it was like the worst of times and the best of times all rolled
also
into
because
that
you
one
have a
day.
second chance. It's a second chance. You died, and you have a second chance and a second life.
Absolutely.
New partner, new life. You still have your kids; they're always with you. But this is a chance. Not many people have this chance to. So also, I'm more contemplative about things. Mm-hmm. So I can stand like this. Sometimes my partner say, "What are you doing?" I say, "Just look at that."
That's so French.
One incredible thing.
With a glass of wine.
Yeah.
We've got the grapes.
No, it's
the
very
wine.
important. It's very important to take time to listen to the loved ones who encounters difficulties in anything. More listening, and everywhere I go, it's like being wow. I take things. I was dead. I wasn't there anymore.
Mum shouted, "Dennis, Dennis." I dragged you onto the floor and started CPR.
I remember the day that they woke you up from that coma and we got the phone call and you recognised me. It was just the best moment.
I could never forget what she's done.
We know that you were kept alive with the CPR, the defibrillator came. There were lots of things that happened that may not have happened had somebody not have been educated about being able to do that. And you've since learned an awful lot about the lack of knowledge from a lot of people about a simple thing that you can learn in a short space of time that could completely change someone's life if you happen to be in a crowd and someone, God forbid, has a situation like yours. And one thing we want to talk to you about here today, obviously, it's Skybet and the British Heart Foundation launched the Every Minute Matters campaign, which you were very much behind. And this is something that you can give in your life now to help lots of other people with the profile and the voice that you have.
I say we because it's not only me. People have realized that we should all do something because in 2030, it will be the first cause of mortality in the world. So we need to do something right now, and being more in terms of education, educating people from schools to older ones. This Every Minute Matters is very important for me. I'm working with the British Heart Foundation because it's also in connection, and they're doing an amazing job. And you can learn how to perform a CPR in 15 minutes. Just go on the website, you click on the website, and in 15 minutes, it's not a big deal, it's just doing it. I hope that no one will have to do it in their life, because it's a very, very strange process. The one who performed the CPR on me told me after that it was like, he learned that a year before, and when he performed the CPR on me, he said, I couldn't believe that it was happening to me. But after that, when he came back home, his son looked at it, he said, Dad, you're a hero, you saved a life. So he realized that the thing he learned was helping me and saving me somehow. So when everyone will understand that, they will probably never use it as a tool in their life. But knowing it, if anything happened, family-wise, friends, or even someone unknown in the street, you will have to be able to do it, because we are so few knowing how to perform a CPR. France, England. So we need to make this at school like a normal form of education for anyone else around. And British Heart Foundation, Skybet, you go on the website, britishheartfoundation.co.uk/forward-reviver, and in 15 minutes you will be able to learn how to do that. It's nothing. It's nothing. But
it's the sort of thing they should be taught in schools, really.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd rather my
Basic.
children learn that than algebra, unless that's exactly what they want to do. These are the sort of life skills that need to be taught in schools. I think everyone should be part of the curriculum. Like you say, you never know the moment. I just think it's, absolutely. Education.
It's so important, and there's so many people who've been in the same situation who are backing this campaign as well.
Well, a lot of people, we talked about Graham Souness, Glenn Odo, just to name a few, but it seems that I spoke to Graham Souness that day in Wembley when we did the shooting with all together. You know what shocked me the most talking to him? He's more, not say down to earth, but more emotional. We talked to each other for 15 minutes, and at one stage we start to cry because we looked in the eye, and we realized that we encountered something really special, and it's the most important thing of all. It's I was scared after that to hurt my loved ones. I say sorry to everyone because they were so panicking. They panicked so much that day, having the thought of losing me, that for me that wasn't acceptable. I meant my life on this planet is to make people happy, not making people cry. And it is so vital for me that when I saw my kids, when I saw everyone around so shocked by that, and I said, I just took them in my arms and I said, I'm so sorry. And I really mean it, because it's, and Graham Souness was feeling the same thing. We are more emotive, how do you say that? Emotional. You know, the emotional side of it?
Exactly, empathy and...
Before that, we were just like, okay, now it's, everything matters. Everything is important. We taking care of making sure that everything is going in the right place in the right direction.
It's gratitude in its truest form, isn't it? It's absolute gratitude.
Appreciation.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And family are clearly just at the top of that, of the love that you feel now. Like you say, you just suddenly appreciate. And all the little things, like you say, little bits of beauty in things that you would never have noticed before. I think going through anything so intense really allows you to step back and think, I'm in the moment, living in the moment and appreciating everything around you. It's such a special place to be.
Absolutely. And you know, when you're getting older, when you were young, it was just you, yourself, that's it. Because the concern was, you know, you need to be happy. And after, when you're getting old, I think the time flies, but it flies in the right direction, because more you're getting old, more you're concerned about others, and on the first place is your kids, and you make sure that it's not easy every day, because you are not dealing with kids anymore, you're dealing with adults and partners. So you need to adapt everything, so you need to adapt your speech, everything you're saying, everything you vote. So you say, will this hurt her or he? So you need to think twice about opening your mouth. And because all my life I've been saying everything I was thinking, I say it. It doesn't matter if I hurt someone, but it is done. I said it. Now it's different. Now you need to think twice and say, okay, would it be a problem for the next 2-3 years if I say something like that right now? So you say, well, no, okay, I say, well, listen, give it a
let things
give
go.
up.
Do you know, I think it's a massive generalisation, but I think women have to make the other journey.
I
So
know.
they start off worrying about what they say, and you have to learn not to care
Not to,
so much as you get older.
True.
We go in a different
True.
direction.
True. So you're taking care about others all your life, and then you realize, hey,
About me.
what about me? This is where problems start.
Hopefully it comes at the same time. As the guys are starting to think about others, the women are starting to think about themselves, and they meet
Yeah,
somewhere,
true. That's
somewhere in the
absolutely
middle.
true.
That's called retirement.
Ooh. Thank you. That's perfect. That's really good to hear about all
Amazing.
that stuff. No,
It's
really
like
good.
being sitting with your psychiatrist.
Yeah.
You know? Thank you, ladies.
Thank you,
Thank you
Debbie.
very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Appreciate.
Subscribe to The Overlap and catch the show every week.